Ambassador John Mitchell stood tall as the massive doors of the Grand Assembly Hall slid open. The noise inside the chamber dropped immediately. 42 pairs of alien eyes turned to watch him enter. Some blinked with multiple eyelids. Others narrowed in suspicion. Mitchell walked with purpose down the central aisle. His black diplomatic uniform contrasted sharply with the colorful attire of the alien representatives. The circular chamber of Nexus Prime Station hummed with quiet energy. Floating lights cast a soft blue glow over the gathered delegates. The human representative approaches, announced the chamber's eye in multiple languages. Simultaneously, Ambassador John Mitchell of the United Earth Coalition, Mitchell, nodded respectfully to several friendly delegates as he passed. The Zeki, Ambassador Kalara with her silvery skin and 4 arms offered a traditional greeting gesture. Mitchell returned it politely, but his face remained serious. At the podium, Mitchell placed his tablet down and looked around the chamber. The council members shifted in their seats. They sensed something different about this human today. Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, Mitchell began, his voice clear and steady. For 3 years, Earth has participated in these talks in good faith. For 3 years, we have followed your protocols and respected your traditions. High Counselor Vex of the Triasian Empire leaned forward. Ambassador Mitchell, if this is about the mining rights in the Orion Arm, again, it is about much more than mining rights. Mitchell interrupted. Several gasps echoed in the chamber. Interrupting a High Counselor was considered extremely rude. It is about respect. It is about fairness. It is about the future of human participation in this council. The Torxian representative Duck made a dismissive gesture with a scaled hand. Humans always dramatize everything. The council has existed for 10,000 years before your kind even left your planet. Mitchell smiled without humor, and perhaps that is the problem. The old ways do not always serve new realities. He tapped his tablet and holographic displays appeared before each delegate. Charts and figures filled the screens. These show the systematic disadvantages imposed on human colonies and trade over the past 3 years. The Vexerary Imperium receives 4 times the resource allocation we do despite having fewer worlds. The tariffs on human goods are 60% higher than comparable Zillan products. High Counselor Vex waved his long fingers. These concerns are premature. Your species is still new to interstellar politics. There are adjustments to be made. Mitchell's face hardened. 3 years of adjustments is enough. We have submitted 27 formal proposals for fair treatment. All were tabled or dismissed. He straightened his shoulders. Therefore, by the authority granted to me by President Carter and the United Earth Senate, I hereby announce humanity's withdrawal from the Galactic Council talks effective. Immediately, the chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates rose from their seats, shouting in dozens of languages. The translation systems struggled to keep up with the sudden flood of voices. You cannot do this, shouted the Vexury ambassador, his facial tentacles darkening in anger. The treaties require 6 months' notice, called another voice. Kalara, the Ziki ambassador, rushed toward Mitchell. John, please. This is too drastic. We can negotiate. But Mitchell was already gathering his materials. The time for negotiation was 3 years ago. Kara, my government's Decision is final, as he turned to leave the ancient Velder observer. Elder Vossler spoke for the first time. In months, his voice, though quiet, somehow cut through the noise. The young ones always think they can stand alone. Against the void, they learn eventually. Mitchell paused and looked back at the elder. Perhaps it's time for the old ones to learn new ways. With that, he walked steadily down the aisle and out the massive doors behind him. The chamber descended further into disorder. High Counselor Vex was shouting for order while several delegates argued loudly among themselves outside in the corridor. Mitchell's composed expression finally faltered. He leaned against the wall and exhaled slowly. His aide, Ryan Cooper, waited there with concern on his face. "Is it done?" Cooper asked. Mitchell nodded. "It's done, for better or worse. Humanity stands alone now." He straightened his uniform. "Send word to the horizon. Captain Davis should prepare for immediate departure." As they walked toward the docking bay, Mitchell couldn't help but wonder if he had just made the biggest mistake in human diplomatic history, or its boldest move forward. The UES horizon broke away from Nexus Prime Station with a gentle push of its thrusters. Inside the ship's main conference room, Ambassador John Mitchell watched the massive ring-shaped station grow smaller on the view screen. Captain Laura Davis entered the room, her footsteps quick and purposeful. "We've cleared the station's control zone, Ambassador. We're free to engage. Main engines." Mitchell nodded. "Take us home, Captain." As Davis turned to leave, she hesitated. "Sir, if I may speak freely." "Always, Laura. The crew is concerned. Leaving the council is big. Many of them have friends among the alien delegations. They're worried about what happens next." Mitchell sighed and rubbed his temples. "I know, I'm worried too, but we had no choice. 3 years of being ignored, overlooked, and cheated. The President and Senate were unanimous." The ship hummed as the main engines engaged. Stars stretched into lines as the horizon entered faster than light travel. Communications Officer Eric Freeman's voice came through the intercom. "Ambassador, you need to see this. I'm picking up emergency transmissions across all council channels." Mitchell frowned. "Put them on screen." The view screen flickered to life, showing split views of various alien news broadcasts. Even without translation, the panic was clear. Stock markets on multiple worlds were crashing. Military vessels were changing positions. Council members were making urgent speeches. "They didn't think we'd actually do it," Mitchell said quietly. "They thought we were bluffing." Freeman appeared at the doorway holding a data pad. "Sir, I've translated some of the key messages. The Vexari are demanding emergency trade restrictions against Earth. The Traxians are moving warships closer to our colony on Proxima Centauri. But 7 smaller council races are calling for immediate concessions to bring humans back to the table." Mitchell took the pad and scrolled through the information. "And what about the Ziki?" "Ambassador Calera has called for an emergency session to address human concerns. She's being opposed by the older council members." Mitchell smiled slightly. "Good old Calera, at least someone is being reasonable. Defense-less." And Kate Rodriguez entered with her own report. "Sir, Earth Defense Force has moved to alert status. Our ships near Proxima are tracking the Traxian movements but maintaining position." Mitchell nodded. "No provocative actions That's important. He walked to the window, looking out at the streaking stars. Kate, what do you think? You've studied alien military tactics longer than anyone. Rodriguez stood straight, her expression serious. They won't attack, not directly. The Trexians are posturing. The real danger is economic. We rely on certain council worlds for rare materials, medical compounds, and technology components. We've been stockpiling for months, Mitchell reminded her. President Carter wasn't born yesterday. A soft chime interrupted them. Mitchell's private communication device was receiving an encrypted message. He frowned as he read it. This is from Kara, he said with surprise. She's using our old emergency channel from the Century Crisis. The others gathered around as he opened the message. A small hologram of the four-armed Ziki appeared. John, the silvery alien said urgently, what you don't know is that your withdrawal was anticipated. Certain council members have been working to force humanity out for months. The resource allocations, the tariffs, all deliberate provocations. There is more happening here than simple politics. Be careful, old friend. Trust no one until I can contact you again. Even this channel may be compromised. The message ended abruptly. The room fell silent. A trap? Rodriguez asked finally. They'd wanted us to leave. Mitchell's face darkened. But why? What's the advantage in forcing Earth to isolate itself? Freeman looked up from his console. Sir, we're receiving a priority message from Earth. President Carter is requesting immediate communication once we exit FTL. Mitchell stared at the space where caller's image had been. Tell the president I'll be ready and double our encryption protocols on all channels. He turned back to the view screen, watching the stars streak by. If someone wanted us gone from the council this badly, we need to find out why before it's too late. Chaos ruled the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council. 2 hours had passed since Ambassador Mitchell's departure, yet the chamber remained disorder. Delegates shouted over each other. Emergency communications flashed on personal devices. Some representatives huddled in small groups, whispering urgently. Calara, the silver-skinned Ziki ambassador, stood at the central podium, her forearms raised in a traditional gesture requesting silent. The chamber sound system amplified her voice. Honored representatives, we must maintain order. This is not the first time a species has withdrawn from talks. Gradually the noise decreased. Delegates returned to their seats, though many continued to speak in hushed tones. High Counselor Vex pounded his ceremonial staff on the floor. The Ziki ambassador is correct. We will not descend into panic over the human theatrics. Trug, the Traxian representative, gave a harsh laugh. His scaled face twisted into what passed for a smile in his species. Perhaps this is for the best. Humans have been disruptive since they joined the council, always questioning traditions, always demanding changes. From his elevated seat, Elder Vassar of the Velder shifted slightly. The ancient alien rarely spoke, but when he did, all listened. 3 times in the council's history, emerging species have withdrawn in protest. 3 times war followed. Within a standard year, a tense silence fell over the chamber. Caloris stepped forward. War is not inevitable. Humans have legitimate concerns about resource allocation and trade policies. You defend them too quickly. Ziki, duck said, narrowing his yellow eyes. Perhaps your people's trade agreements with Earth have clouded your judgment. Before caller could respond, the doors at the back of the chamber opened. Frank Williams and Samantha Johnson, Jr., human diplomats who had remained on Nexus Prime, entered hesitantly. The room fell silent again as they walked down the central aisle. Williams spoke first, his voice steady despite the tension. We have been instructed to collect the human delegation's materials and return to Earth on the next available transport. Samantha added, we have also been asked to inform the Council that all existing scientific exchange programs will be suspended pending further notice. This announcement triggered fresh murmurs of alarm. Dozens of joint research projects between humans and other species were underway across the galaxy. Many involved breakthrough technologies and medical research. High Counselor Vec rose from his seat. This is unnecessary escalation. Tell your ambassador, Mitchell Fat, our instructions come directly from President Carter. Williams interrupted. Ambassador Mitchell is already en route to Earth as the human aides gathered materials from the Earth delegation station. Duck approached them. Several of his Terraction guards followed close behind. You should leave quickly, Duck said, his voice low and threatening. Some delegates might not distinguish between official representatives and assists. Samantha straightened her back. Are you threatening us, Representative Doctor? Merely offering advice for your safety. Caller quickly moved between them. The humans remain under diplomatic protection while on Nexus Prime, or would the Traxian hegemony violate one of our oldest traditions? Drew stepped back, but his expression remained hostile. Traditions seemed to matter little today, after the humans left with their materials, escorted by Ziki security. 5 senior council members gathered in a small chamber behind the main hall. This was the inner circle, the true power of the Galactic Council. The humans left exactly as predicted, said Morrow of the Benther Collective, his transparent body glowing faintly. Phase 1 is complete, agreed Vex. Their isolation begins now. Elder Vossler's ancient eyes studied a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. They are more resourceful than you anticipate and more dangerous. The Ziki ambassador may be a problem, Duck noted. She has always been too fond of humans. Caller will be watched, Vex said. 4. Now we proceed with Phase 2. Begin restricting key technological components to Earth-controlled worlds. Let them feel the consequences of their decision. Morrow's body pulsed with light, and if they discover the truth that their withdrawal was engineered, Vex's face remained impassive. By then it will be too late. Outside the chamber, pressed against the air vent, Caller's aide listened intently, recording every word. The information needed to reach Ambassador Mitchell before the horizon reached Earth. President Olivia Carter stood at the window of the Oval Office, looking out at the Washington Monument, gleaming in the morning light. The room behind her buzzed with activity. Advisors spoke in hushed voices. Screens displayed news from around the world and across human colonies. The door opened, and Chief of Staff Daniel Bennett entered. Madame President, Ambassador Mitchell's ship has entered Earth's orbit. He'll be on the ground in 30 minutes. Carter nodded without turning, and the public reaction mixed as expected. Markets dropped 15% when trading opened. Military enlistment is Up 40% since the announcement. The Mars and Europa colonies are requesting increased security patrols. She finally turned from the window and the protests. Bennett grimaced, growing in major cities, some pro-withdrawal, celebrating our independence from alien influence, others demanding we return to the council immediately. On the main screen, footage showed crowds in New York's Central Park. Some carried signs reading "Earth First" and "No Alien Oversight." Others chanted for peace and cooperation. The Senate vote, Carter asked, still scheduled for tomorrow. It's expected to formally support your decision, but several senators are publicly questioning the timing. A young aide rushed in with a data pad. Madame President, we're receiving reports of Traxian warships near Proxima Centauri colony. Military Commander Gregory Thompson strode into the room, uniform crisp and face serious. They're staying outside our defense perimeter. Madame President, provocative but legal under existing treaties. Increase our presence there, but maintain standard protocols. Carter ordered. No aggressive posturing. Economic Minister Paul Martinez joined them, his expression grim. The resource situation is concerning. We have stockpiles of critical materials for 8 months at current usage. After that, we'll face shortages unless we find alternative sources or trading partners. Carter walked to the large conference table and gestured for everyone to sit. Options. Thompson spoke first. The Lumen military base has been developing alternative materials for ship construction. Director Alan Phillips reports they might have a breakthrough within weeks. Not soon enough, Martins countered. We need immediate trade alternatives. The Ziki might continue trading privately despite council sanction. Their ambassador has always been sympathetic to us. Carter's assistant interrupted. Madame President, Nicole White from Global News Network is ready for your interview. 5 minutes. Carter replied, then turned back to her team. We knew this would be difficult, but remember why we withdrew. The council has systematically undermined human development and expansion for years. They've restricted our access to key technologies and resources while claiming to welcome us as equals. Bennett leaned forward. The public needs to understand that right now they're scared. Then we'll reassure them, Carter said firmly. Gregory, I want defensive readiness increased throughout our territory, but nothing that could be interpreted as preparation for aggression. Paul, reach out to independent trading worlds. The council doesn't control everyone. Martinez nodded. Several systems in the outer rim have expressed interest in direct trade agreements without council oversight. Secure communication terminal chimed. The room fell silent as Carter answered. Madame President, came the voice of Dr. Susan Clark from the Luna Research Base. We need to speak privately. It's about Project Prometheus. Carter's expression changed slightly. Only Bennett noticed. Clear the room, she ordered. Once alone, Carter activated the highest security protocols. Go ahead, Doctor. Dr. Clark's hologram appeared above the desk. We've done it. The prototype works. The Prometheus drive generates twice the power of anything in known space, and it doesn't require any council-controlled materials. Carter sat very still. You're certain? Absolutely. We could begin manufacturing within months. Keep this completely classified. I'll inform Ambassador Mitchell personally when he arrives. Carter ended the transmission and stared at the empty space where the hologram had been. The door opened. Again, Madame President Ambassador. Mitchell has landed. Carter stood. Composing herself, show him in. Reschedule the interview, this takes priority, as Bennett left Carter. Return to the window, perhaps. Humanity's greatest bargaining chip had just arrived at the perfect moment. In a hidden chamber deep within an asteroid. At the edge of settled space, 7 figures gathered around a circular table. The room was dark except for the soft blue glow emanating from the table surface. Unlike the open debates of the Galactic Council, this meeting occurred in absolute secrecy. The humans have reacted exactly as predicted, said a figure with a distorted voice. Only his outline was visible, a precaution taken by all members of the consortium, yes. But their withdrawal came 6 weeks earlier than our models anticipated. Replied another figure, this one, slightly taller. President Carter is more decisive than we calculated. The leader, seated at the head of the table, tapped long fingers against the surface. Accelerated timing changes nothing. The isolation of humanity proceeds as planned. Screens appeared before each member, displaying data about Earth and its colonies, military movements, economic indicators, and social media. Trends flashed across the displays. Subject 223 is in position, reported the third figure. He has successfully infiltrated the Earth government. On one screen appeared the face of Adam Wright, recently appointed assistant to Economic Minister Martinez. His eyes showed no emotion as he transmitted his daily report to his true masters. The humans are activating emergency resource protocols, Wright's voice said flatly. They have stockpiles sufficient for 8 months. They believe they can find alternative trading partners among the outer rim worlds. The leader's face remained hidden, but satisfaction colored his voice. As expected, phase 2 can now begin. Ensure that all potential trading partners understand the consequences of defying council sanctions. There is an unexpected development, offered the fourth figure. Speaking for the first time, our source in the Luna Research Base reports a project called Prometheus. Details are scarce, but energy signatures suggest a new power source. Silence fell over the group. This was not in their predictions. How advanced? Asked the leader sharply. Unknown, but the base has tripled its security in recent days. The leader stood slowly. Humanity must not be allowed to develop independent technology. The pattern cannot be broken. We should simply eliminate them, suggested the fifth figure, voice harsh. Their colonies are vulnerable. A series of accidents called, no, the leader interrupted. The pattern must be followed. We have tested 46 species this way over 12,000 years. Each must make the same choice, submit to council authority, or face isolation and economic collapse. And if they develop this new power source, the leader's voice hardened, then we move to containment protocols. We have not failed in 12 millennia. We will not fail now. Far away on the approaching UES horizon, Ambassador Mitchell was awakened by an urgent call from the ship's eye. Ambassador, we have detected an unauthorized transmission from within our secure systems. Mitchell sat up quickly. Source unknown, sir, but the transmission contained encrypted data about our diplomatic archives. Someone was searching for information about your private meetings with President Carter. Mitchell's mind raced. Isolate the affected systems, wake communications. Officer Freeman and Defense less in. Rodriguez immediately, within minutes. They gathered in the secure communications room. Freeman's fingers flew across his console. It's sophisticated, sir, like nothing I've seen before, definitely not standard Council technology. Rodriguez studied the security logs. The intrusion targeted your meetings from 3 months ago, specifically any mention of Luna Base. Mitchell felt cold. The Prometheus project, they're looking for information about our new energy source, but how would they know about that? Freeman asked. That project is classified at the highest level. We have a leak, Mitchell said grimly, either here or in Washington. The ship's AI interrupted. Ambassador, I've traced the intrusion signature. It matches a pattern. Intelligence officer Hither Peterson flagged 6 months ago when monitoring Council communications. Mitchell exchanged glances with Rodriguez. Get me Peterson's full report. As Freeman pulled up the information, Mitchell stared at the star map showing their approach to Earth. He had believed the withdrawal was entirely their choice, a bold move to force the Council to treat humans fairly. Now he wondered if they had been manipulated all along, playing into someone else's hands, and if so, what was the true game? Sir, Rodriguez said quietly. Peterson's report mentioned something called the consortium and a testing pattern that's been occurring for thousands of years. Mitchell's expression darkened. We need to reach Earth immediately. Maximum speed. 3 weeks had passed since Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Council. The space station Liberty Point floated in neutral territory between human space and the nearest Council world. Originally built as a trading post, it now served a more delicate purpose. Ambassador Mitchell sat alone in a small, plain room aboard the station. The only furnishings were a table and 2 chairs. No recording devices, no observers, no weapons. Those were the terms for this meeting. The door slid open quietly. Kalara, the Ziki ambassador, entered. Her silver skin seemed duller than usual, her forearms moving with careful precision. She took the seat opposite. Mitchell, you're taking a great risk meeting me, Mitchell said softly. Caller's large eyes blinked slowly. The Council monitors all official channels. If they knew I was here, I understand. Thank you. Caller placed a small device on the table. It projected a shield around them that would block any listening devices that might have escape detection. I don't have much time, she said. The information my aide gathered from the inner circle meeting confirmed your suspicions. Your withdrawal was engineered. The Council deliberately ignored human proposals and imposed unfair trade restrictions. Mitchell nodded grimly. But why? What do they gain from forcing us out? It's not the full Council behind this. It's a smaller group that has influenced Council decisions for centuries. They call themselves the Consortium. We found references to them in our intelligence reports. Mitchell confirmed, but little concrete information. Caller leaned forward. They test emerging species, John. They present them with a choice: accept an inferior position in galactic politics or withdraw and face isolation. Either way, the species remains controlled or contained, and if a species refuses to play by those rules, it has happened before. Rarely. Caller's voice dropped. The Benthai were once much more advanced than they are now. 3,000 years ago they developed technology that threatened consortium control. Within a year, their home world suffered a series of natural disasters. Mitchell's face hardened. We won't be intimidated. There's more. The Taxians are planning an attack on your colony at Proxima Centauri, not a direct assault, but something that will appear to be a tragic accident. They hope to provoke a military response from Earth, giving the Council an excuse to impose sanctions or worse. Mitchell concluded. Caller nodded precisely. On the other side of the station, diplomat Ryan Cooper was meeting with representatives from 5 independent trading worlds. These smaller civilizations operated outside Council control, though they maintained cordial relations with Council worlds. Earth offers competitive rates for manufactured goods, Cooper explained to the gathered aliens. We need certain raw materials the Council has restricted. This arrangement would benefit all parties, the Tellerate merchant, a short being with rough brown skin, grumbled. The Council will not be pleased if we trade with you. The Council does not control your worlds, Cooper replied calmly, and they need your goods as much as we do. Back on Earth, President Carter faced mounting pressure. The Senate had confirmed the withdrawal decision, but public opinion was shifting. Food prices had risen. Certain medicines were becoming scarce. Initial wave of patriotic support was giving way to practical concerns. The latest polls show 60% still support our position, Chief of Staff Bennett reported, but that's down from 78% last week. Carter nodded. And the Luna base report, Dr. Clark says they need another 2 weeks to complete the Prometheus prototype, then testing begins. 2 weeks might be too long, Carter murmured. Her secure terminal chimed. Commander Thompson's face appeared on screen. Madame President, our sensors have detected unusual activity near Proxima Centauri. Trexian ships are moving into position near our colonies. Main supply route. Have they violated our space? Not yet, but they've placed what they claim are navigation beacons suspiciously close to our shipping lanes. Carter's eyes narrowed. They're setting up for an accident, just as Mitchell warned from his meeting with Calera. Your orders, Madame President. Carter stood, her decision made. Deploy the new defensive drones we've been testing. Make sure they're visible but obviously defensive in position, and send a direct message to the Tarian commander. We know what they're planning and we are prepared. Thompson looked surprised. That will reveal capabilities we've kept secret. Sometimes, Carter said firmly, the best way to prevent an attack is to show you're ready for it. The red dust of Mars swirled around the entrance to the excavation site. A team of scientists worked carefully inside the ancient structure. Dr. Alan Phillips directed their efforts, his excitement barely contained behind his professional demeanor. Careful with that section, he called to his assistants. Those markings are over 50,000 years old. The discovery had been accidental. A routine mining operation had broken through into a sealed chamber 3 weeks ago. What they found inside had changed everything about humanity's understanding of its place in the galaxy. Ambassador Mitchell stood nearby, having arrived from Earth just hours earlier. His face showed wonder and concern in equal measure. And you're certain about the translation? He asked. Phillips, the scientist, nodded. The language patterns match fragments found in ancient Earth sites, but here they're complete. This was a library of sorts. Ambassador, a record left by visitors who came to our solar system long before human civilization began. Mitchell ran his hand along a wall covered in strange symbols, and they mentioned the consortium directly. Yes, according to these records, they were called the Quiller. They visited Earth and Mars repeatedly over thousands of years. They observed early humans, and they were fleeing from something they called the Shapers of Order, almost certainly the consortium. On a nearby table, artifacts unlike anything found on Earth, tools made from materials that science couldn't identify, data storage devices that still functioned after 50 millennia. The Quillery rebelled against the consortium's testing pattern. Phillips continued, they try to help younger species develop independently. For that they were hunted. These chambers were sealed and hidden, meant to be found when we reached a certain technological level. Mitchell's communication device chimed. Urgently. Mitchell here, Ambassador. Came President Carter's voice. The situation at Proxima has escalated. The Traxians attempted their accident scenario, but our defensive drones prevented it. Now they're claiming we violated their ship space. Any casualties? None, but the Council is calling an emergency session to discuss sanctions against Earth for military aggression. They're moving faster than we anticipated. Mitchell looked at the alien records surrounding him. Madame President, I'm at the Mars site. Discovery is confirmed. The consortium has been manipulating species for thousands of years, and there may be allies we never knew about. A stunned silence followed. You mean the cooler actually existed? They didn't die out. The record suggests some escaped. They may still be out there in hiding. This changes everything. Carter said, return to Earth immediately. We need to plan our next move. As Mitchell prepared to leave, Dr. Phillips approached with a small device recovered from the chamber. Ambassador, we activated this an hour ago. It appears to be some kind of beacon. Mitchell's eyes widened. A beacon? You mean it's sending a signal into deep space? Yes, if anyone is listening after all this time, halfway across the galaxy, on a world not marked on any council chart, a signal was received in a chamber of living crystal. Beams of blue light gathered around a pulsing orb. They spoke in a language not heard in council space for thousands of years. The seekers have found our message, one said, voice like music. After so long, replied another, the humans have reached the necessary level. The consortium will move against them quickly now, said a third, as they did against us when we defied them. The leader of the gathering waved a luminous hand over the orb, showing Earth and its colonies. These humans are different. They developed their technology independently. Their social structures are unlike any the consortium has tested before. Will we reveal ourselves after 50,000 years of hiding? The leader was silent for a long moment. Prepare a ship, a small one that can travel undetected. If humanity is truly breaking the pattern, they deserve to know the truth. Back on Earth, Ambassador Mitchell arrived at the White House as an emergency meeting was beginning. Intelligence officer Hither Peterson was presenting evidence on the main screen. The assassination attempt on Ambassador Mitchell and Calera has been confirmed, she reported. Council agents tried to prevent their meeting on Liberty Point, but our security teams intercepted them. President Carter surveyed the grim faces around the table. It seems the consortium is becoming desperate. They should be, Mitchell said, entering the room because, for the first time in thousands of years, someone is changing the rules of their game. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different today. The circular chamber still housed representatives from 42 spacefaring civilizations, but the atmosphere had changed dramatically. No longer did the oldest members dominate. From elevated positions, all seats now stood at equal height. Ambassador John Mitchell walked confidently down the central aisle. Unlike his exit 6 weeks ago, he now had allies openly nodding and greeting as he passed. The chamber quieted as he reached the central podium. Beside him stood a beam of blue light in vaguely humanoid form until representative of the Quillari moved with fluid grace. Many council members stared in shock and disbelief. According to official history, the Quillari had died out millennia ago. High Counselor Vex tried to maintain his composure, but his hands trembled slightly. The council recognizes Ambassador Mitchell of Earth and the representative of the Quillari. Thank you, Counselor, Mitchell said calmly. I returned to this chamber not to rejoin the old council, but to propose a new beginning. Murmurs spread through the assembly. Mitchell continued, for thousands of years, emerging species have faced the same test, except an inferior position in galactic politics or face isolation and engineered collapse. This pattern wasn't natural evolution, it was manipulation by the group known as the Consortium. Several senior council members shifted uncomfortably. The Torxian representative Duck rose to object, but Mitchell raised a hand. Please hear me out, then all evidence will be presented openly on large screens. Throughout the chamber, data from the Mars ruins appeared. Alongside it were records in tall that brought from the hidden Cully world. The chamber grew silent as the evidence mounted. The Quillari rebelled against this system 50,000 years ago, Mitchell explained. They tried to help younger species develop naturally. For this they were nearly destroyed and forced into hiding. But they left messages for species like mine to find when we were ready. NL spoke for the first time, his voice like musical chimes. We have watched from the shadows as the consortium tested and controlled species after species. Each time the pattern repeated until now. Calera, the Ziki ambassador, stood from her new position as council moderator. 2 days ago, this council voted to remove the inner circle after their activities were exposed. Today we must decide what comes next. Mitchell nodded to Ental, who projected a new image, a spherical design for a space station. Earth proposes the Open Stars Initiative. Mitchell announced a new framework for interstellar cooperation based on genuine equality and technological sharing, not controlled development. Already 17 worlds have expressed interest in joining. From his seat, Elder Voss of the Vediter observed with ancient eyes, in 12,000 years I have never seen the pattern broken. Perhaps it is time. President Carter's voice came through Mitchell's communication device. For him alone. Tell them about Prometheus. Mitchell smiled slightly as a gesture of good faith. Earth will share the Prometheus energy technology with all member worlds. This power source developed independently during our isolation produces clean energy without exotic materials. It can transform worlds suffering from resource scarcity. Chamber erupted in excited conversation. Even skeptical species showed interest. Truck the Torxian rose again, pretty. Words human, but your species withdrew. From talks, you deployed military. Vessels near our ships, why should anyone trust Earth's leadership?